Welcome to Tables, Ladders, and Bumps, a pro wrestling podcast where we talk about wrestling promotions like WWE and AEW. We give tinfoil wrestling theories and we debate pressing subjects in the world of wrestling, all under 60 minutes. I'm Marlon. I'm joined by Wade. Pierre is out for today, but hopefully we'll get him back next week. Before we get into it, go ahead and do a Tiger Driver on that like and subscribe button. It is not illegal in this podcast. So go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Share it with friends. If you like anything, if you think anything is controversial or worth talking, share it with some friends, or even share just because you like it. You'll get our perspective from our side of the ring. And today's topics of discussion include Jon Moxley as the new AEW champ. We're
Yep.
talking about the Carlito damage control remarks, and we'll even touch on what the future of WWE or wrestling may look like based on what we saw on last night's Monday Night Raw. All right, let's get started with what's poppin'. Wade, what do you got for your what is poppin'?
For me, I got John Moxley's popping right now as the AEW champion. I'm not the last year I've not been a big fan of John Moxley's work as a whole. I don't like dislike it, but I was not a huge fan of the matches. I think like post him feuding with Kenny Omega and the Elite, which was a long time ago since Kenny Omega's been out for like half a
Mm-hmm.
year, and that was like probably 8 months before that. I'm yeah, I've just been thoroughly impressed. Like I said, his New Japan run, not a huge fan. I just didn't like it, and it seemed like he was kind of boring, and he needed like a refresh in some way. And
Mm-hmm.
this character is definitely, I feel uneasy when I'm
Mm-hmm.
watching him do stuff other than a snuff film by killing Bryan Danielson, but also just his overall his promos and demeanor when he's doing stuff. There was a on Dynamite last week. I can't remember who it is. I think it was someone in Top Flight. They're doing some like backflip thing, and like he just like elbows them in the back of the head as they're flipping in the air, just like get the hell out of here. It was awesome. I was a
So dope.
huge fan because he's like the anti-lucha kind of
Mm-hmm.
guy. So I thought that I'm enjoying it so far. I like this a lot better than the Elite taking over AEW storyline that was cool for like 2 weeks. So
Yeah,
uh
that kind of faded out pretty fast.
yeah, that's a whole other story, which I guess Tony Khan didn't want it to be shown on TV at all, that he wasn't running things, even though it's a fictional story. So
Even though he
uh
wrote it.
yeah, like it's like we all know you're writing it, dude, like or running the show. So yeah, this seems different. I'm at least intrigued, and I week by week I want to see what's gonna happen next.
Mm-hmm.
I like most of the people in the stable, so yeah, I'm into this. I know you've caught like some of the clips and stuff with John Moxley and like Marina Shafir and stuff, so I want to know your thoughts.
Yeah, I love the ascent that they've had of just taking over ever since he said, "This isn't your company anymore, Tony," and then building the stable week by week. Um, I do have to say that I wasn't in the sh I wasn't into WWE when Shield was around, but I love the whole he because he comes out through the crowd, right? During his skits now,
It's
his
yeah,
promos.
he's been doing that like the whole time. This
So
is a little
yeah,
bit, he kind of comes through the tunnel a little bit, not the regular
okay.
tunnel, but like I think because he's a heel, like he doesn't want to get like an egg thrown at him or something while he's going
Yeah,
through the
yeah.
crowd as much. But
Smart move.
um,
No, it just gives me like anytime there's a faction trying to take over the company, it has my attention. Because it's like, what exactly are they fighting against, and what's the identity they're trying to establish for themselves? So anything like NWO, DX, Shield, it does have my attention, and I love it. It's
yeah,
dope.
and I think the only bad thing with this is there's like 15 heel stables in AEW right now. So it's like you have the elite that try to take over the company. They still have a bunch of the belts and they're just there
Mhm.
and like not involving themselves with this in any way. They just are like, okay, you're off over there. So that's kind of strange to me.
Yeah.
And then you have BCC who are like, I guess actually taking over everything, which is what does that even mean? Then you got like Christian Cage, who's like adjacent heel guy who like has the thing for to cash in on John Moxley
Hmm.
or whoever has the belt. And then there's also MVP and his whole crew, which are they're
Business.
like kind of the cool, like I actually like them probably the most. Like Shelton Benjamin look awesome. So that's the thing that's making me a little bit worried. Because it would be like if you had Judgment Day and like Bloodline and like all those different like heel organizations in the same exact show where they're kind of a little bit separated. So,
Right.
uh, uh, yeah, it's a bit. I'm excited, but also, ooh, this could go bad. Like, what are you gonna have? The elite turn babyface after they almost killed Tony Khan like 5 months ago? I don't know what you do in this situation.
I mean, could you have it as like heel versus more heel-ish?
Yeah, that's kind of the
Uh,
problem they had, though. Yeah.
hmm, got it. Because I remember that one time in WWE when Judgment Day was out in the ring, and then like Bobby Lashley and the Profits came out, and they went like face to face, and that was a time where they were trying to put
Oh
Bobby
yeah.
Lashley and company as heels. And I really came out. I was like, dude, this is dope. Like, who are the badasses that are going to be running this town now? And I see with AEW, there could be some options where you don't necessarily have to turn face, but you could have one who's more
Yeah,
heelish.
more
But
situational baby face. But
yeah.
the issue is the VCC is definitely more ruthless in what they'll do, which is more
Hmm.
heel. So if they went against the elite in some way, the elite I tech are technically baby faces then, but
Right.
they like I think the crowd's gonna be more for BCC though because they're cooler. So
Hmm.
it's like a weird like yeah, they're the baby faces, but the other people are cool. Like it's a whole weird until Okada gets involved because then they'll just cheer for him. But yeah, it's a weird thing. But so far, I like it with John Moxley. Let me know, guys, what you think about John Moxley so far since this kind of change in his character with the new BCC, killing Brian Danielson, and do you guys like it? Or are you guys worried about the number of heel stables? Are they just gonna have maybe a battle royale of heel stables as a pay-per-view? Who knows?
All right. All right. You got anything else with that one?
Nah, I'm good.
All right, let's talk about what's poppin' for moi, myself. Based on last night's Raw, there's a lot to talk about for last night's Raw. Whether if you're talking about Bloodline storyline coming to Raw or Judgment Day, we'll get to some of that stuff later on. But I want to talk about a particular moment that had happened when in the main event when Braun Breaker super speared Solo Sikoa to get the attention of Jacob Fatu. There was like this slow like roar that like started building of like holy crap, what is about to happen? Because Braun took the straps off, the singlet, he went face to face with Jacob Fatu, and for a moment I was like, I didn't even perceive or conceive this
Mhm.
happening in a million years. But holy crap, we have a werewolf and a dog going face to face right now. So to me, it looked like the future of wrestling or the future of WWE in the next 2 to 3 years of who could be top dogs, pun intended, every pun intended on that one. Um, I don't know if that did anything to you. Did you have any reaction or were you just steel to it? What did you think about the face off between Braun Breaker and Jacob Fatu?
Yeah, I had to change my shorts. That was the highlight of the night for sure. That was like awesome. No, I didn't even think about that either. I was when they like faced off, I thought, holy crap, that would be. So for me, it's interesting in so many ways because I think for WWE creative, in ring wise, probably the goal is to eventually have Braun Breaker be like Jacob Fatu because he has so much. And
Mhm.
obviously, Braun Breaker brings a little bit different. He has like kind of like dumb jock, freak athlete kind of
Yeah.
thing. But the way with Jacob Fatu's explosion and how he could just hop into things and do a lot of stuff, I think if you're a big Braun Breaker fan, your hope is that he could develop and have some of the in between stuff in matches that he doesn't have right now.
Hmm.
So both of them have different kind of charisma that's great that actually just pops out of the screen. Um, but yeah, I'm excited for that. I for me, WWE, I think they're a little bit in a lull, a little bit, even though it's still like hot right
Hmm.
now.
Yep.
And I feel like this happens every year before Survivor
Hmm.
Series when you have another Blood Diamond thing before Survivor Series. It's always like kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of like they're trying to force a Survivor Series storyline. But this one kind of work. I would be pumped if you randomly have Braun Breaker involved, since he has that tie
Whoa.
with Paul Heyman. Remember they had that thing in
Yeah.
NXT.
Yep.
So I would be pretty excited if maybe I'd throw him in Survivor Series.
Oh, that'd be nuts, dude. Imagine like a spear off the top of the cage or something. Oh, dude. That'd
Like
be
that would
wild.
be 10 times more hype than if you add in Sami Zayn, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Oh, yeah.
So, and I like Sammy and like he has all the history with the bloodline people and like storyline wise, think that would be awesome. But I think it would be a lot cooler if you actually threw Braun Breaker in there because of Paul Heyman and had him just kind of going nuts. And then Roman is also like, oh, this guy's one, a loose cannon, and two, like feels threatened by him. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? So and then just seeing them actually face off in Survivor Series would be sweet. But
Hmm.
most of the matches I want to see all involve uh Jacob Fatu, like in
Hmm.
WWE. Other than since Ilya Dragunov's hurt, all of the matches were like either Ilya Dragunov, Gunther, or Jacob Fatu are
Right.
involved in every single one of the matches.
Right.
So if like obviously not to get, although triple threat with that would be kind of sick, but that's like every single match I want to see in WWE has one of those guys in it essentially.
Right.
They're just so special. Uh, but I mean, Braun Breaker, I was hyped, but yeah, the matches have been 50-50 for me. So
Right.
he's young, you know what I
He's
mean? I
young.
don't like he hasn't wrestled quite as long, but uh yeah, I was pumped. Sorry, I
Yeah.
rambled. I just was getting hyped thinking about all the matches with Jacob Fatu. So
Yeah, man, sky's the limit at this point, I feel that if Braun Breaker versus Jacob Fatu ever gets to a PLE, I think that could really be a co-main event type of situation if they build it right. Or main event for, I'm not talking anytime soon, but perhaps next year. I think they could build pretty fast with those two guys. So whether it be at a Money in the Bank type of situation, or it doesn't have to be part of the Big Four, but I feel like that's huge buco bucks for WWE.
imagine
Um,
both of them in Money in the Bank.
oh, oh. I mean, and they got family history too, technically. I mean, family heritage, I should say, in of people in the biz. So, and both of them in Money in the Bank, forget it, dude.
The crazy he'd be doing like a Samoan drop with a ladder on him, and then you just have Chad Gable. I would have those two and Chad Gable in it and Dragonov. And
Oh
other than
my
that, I don't care
God.
about like you don't even need anyone else. But those like
Seriously.
four guys would be the most insane freaking thing I ever seen in my life.
Freaking flying body press and moonsaults everywhere, man. That'd be so sick. All right, let me know what y'all think about Braun Breaker and Jacob Fatu, a potential rivalry. and their potential and future in the WWE. Let's move on to the 3 count. Today it will be a 2 count. Let's see. I'll go ahead and start with my 2 count. I want to talk about how quickly fans are so quick to lash out at Carlito's segment yesterday. So for those who haven't seen it, Carlito's trying to go get Dom a championship match against Gunther. He doesn't want to interrupt Adam Pearce talking to Damage Control. As Carlito passes up Damage Control to talk to Adam Pearce, he looks back and then he looks at Adam Pearce and says, I gotta learn Chinese. Oh my God. Like, people were upset that, first of all, before I go on, what do you think people were upset about?
Oh, that he had a mistaken their nationality,
Mhm.
which was the point of the joke,
Mhm.
because he's an
Right,
idiot.
right, right. People were calling this disgusting and racist and quite ignorant to today's climate of how things are handled and addressed. Personally, I didn't take think anything of it like that because, as you said, Wade, Carlito speaks when he shouldn't speak, right? Like when Dom and Liv were caught, and he was like, "Oh, that was cool," or
Yeah.
when Liv supposedly sent Dom provocative pictures, he was like, "Oh man, that's cool." So this is a part of Carlito's character. And this is a different type of ignorance versus like blatant racism to me. It's
Yeah.
like, how many people know the difference between the different Asian cultures, right? I don't think many outside of most coastal cities do. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But people can easily mistake it, right? So if people think, oh man, like I really don't know the difference, so they're gonna take a shot at whatever they think it is. So, but I don't think this is like purposely calling someone Japanese Chinese to
No.
insult, you know? Um, so yeah, that those are my thoughts on it. So what else do you think about this one?
Well, I just feel like if you're like, do you have any emotional intelligence if you're like that triggered by that?
Right.
Like the point of this is to make fun of him,
Him.
not the
Hmm.
Japanese people. So
Right.
if this joke was to, you mean, make fun of Damage Control and written in a
Yeah.
way, then yes, then that could be offensive.
Yeah.
But if they were fine with it and it's to make him look like, because he's like how I kind of see his character, he's a symbol of like the old WWE because he came
Hmm.
back. He's like kind of an old school, like he's older guy, can't really do a ton of stuff in the ring, and he plays an ignorant, like dumb character. So that's a horn dog.
Yeah.
So I don't like there's been like stories of like now if Damage Control didn't want to do this and they were bothered by it, then okay, well I have a little bit of an
Yeah.
issue if they're like I don't want to be in that thing, or I
They
feel
feel like a
offended.
Vince McMahon, like a Vince McMahon
Yeah,
type of
like how
power
he
move,
would
right?
just like kind of make
But
them do it, or they felt
mhm.
like they didn't have the power to say no
Hmm.
for that. But that's like it's such a minor
Hmm.
thing, and this is fiction.
Right.
Like you could play characters that are bad.
Yeah.
Like that's the point of having
Exactly.
bad guys. Like people
Yeah.
complain about heels not getting enough heat. Well, if you don't allow people to say things that are like, then you're not. It's hard. We have an issue with people actually getting real heat. MJF is like the only one who gets legit
Hmm.
heat.
Hmm.
So, and a lot of times he says things that are kind of messed up.
Yeah.
So, like this, if you're really that offended, but like most of the
Right.
people I've seen offended by it are white.
Right.
Almost every time it's white people that are
Right.
offended by this. So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. If you read the comments, it's like, oh wow, a heel speaking ignorantly. What a surprise. Like no, like meaning this is what heels do.
yeah,
Like you said, like they're gonna say things out of ignorance or out of delusion, right? So it shouldn't be any surprise that Carlito would act or say this way, say things like this. So,
Like the freaking the dad in Iron Claw. It's like based on a real guy. He played in the 50s and 60s a Nazi character.
hmm
Go around doing like the like hail like you know who thing. So like,
uh-huh.
but he played an actual like Nazi in as a character. So I
Right,
know like times change, but it's like, okay, this guy mixing this up, we're supposed to not like him. That's
right,
the point. Now
right.
the stuff with like where Vince McMahon, there people are bothered by like him portraying an evil guy because now it seems like, well, okay, this is maybe he wasn't even playing a character, he was just playing himself, and this was like his vice,
Yeah,
kind of doing these things. Okay, I understand that, but I'm fairly certain Carlito knows these girls are Japanese and
exactly.
he's playing a
Exactly.
character.
Yep.
So
Yep, yep.
if none of them were bothered by it and they felt like they had a voice,
hmm
then you guys need to be quiet because they're playing a character.
Yep. Yep.
So
Exactly.
it's
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Wait, what do you got for your three count?
I got WWE and not having clean finishes. Like it feels like in
Oh my
weeks.
gosh.
This Raw, I don't think we had one, right? I don't think we had a
No,
clean finish because
because Lash Legend,
yeah, that ended. That didn't even finish the match. The
Bloodline
main event,
Shenanigans,
the main event had shenanigans for 10 minutes
Karrion
and
Cross,
they got involved in that one. Um
American Made.
American Made, there were shenanigans. So there's and it's fine like if like a heel's gonna cheat and stuff, but there's just like a whole I mean, can we get a clean match? I know it's not 3 hours now,
Right.
but like there needs to be winners and losers. So that was kind of my issue. What like has Damage Control had a match finish in a while? They've not had a clean finish in a match in like
Mm-mm.
3 weeks, probably.
Mm-mm. Was Bianca versus Io clean? That was a clean finish,
That was
right?
clean. That was
hmm
clean. I
But that
believe.
wasn't really.
Oh no, I think that
There was
had a
outside.
there was something that happened. I think I can't remember
hmm
what it was, but yeah, there's like I'm fine with interference, but it's I mean we need some
Yeah.
matches
hmm
at some point. Um, I can't even think SmackDown. I think every match was probably
It's been a minute. Probably one of the Carmelo versus Andrade matches had to have finished clean, but the last couple I think had shenanigans, ringside
oh the
shenanigans.
Motor City Machine Guns I believe won clean.
Okay.
But other than that, like the other tag match had you had the weird thing where both guys were pinning someone and
Yeah.
like it's like guys, I don't need every match to be clean, but
Right.
like I mean there needs to be a few. It needs to
Right.
not I need to not have every single match, oh, what's gonna happen to interfere.
Right.
So I don't know
I,
what your thoughts are.
I feel like someone would push back on that and say everybody's booked, so everybody's like cross-reference booked, like anybody can interfere in any match because a lot of people's storylines do overlap. However, you still can tell a story within the match itself to progress the story. And I think that's what Carmelo and Andrade have exemplified the past few weeks.
Eh,
Um,
there was interference with I think the last one that Mello had where
hmm
LA Knight got involved, but they're all
Yep.
kind of involved in it's a best of seven. So
Right.
I'm fine with like part of Carmelo's thing is he acts like he's awesome, but he's really
hmm
just like kind of cheating and doing stuff, and that's like his thing. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I'm kind of cool with that. Uh
But if I remember correctly, Jey Uso versus Xavier Woods for that was an IC title match, right?
yeah, 5 minutes
That
match.
that was
About
that was a clean match though, but it still progressed the story.
yeah, that was the first Raw that was 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was like three commercial breaks, and we saw 5 minutes of the action.
That's
But yeah, that
right.
one was I was like excited for that match. Like,
There
are
were
we gonna
so
see
many
any wrestling?
commercials.
Are we gonna see any wrestling? Yeah. Oh, he lost. Okay, I
That's true.
guess.
That's true. That's true. So
Yeah.
it get cut back and the match is already over.
It's
So,
like one spear. It's like, all right, you got to hit with
there
one spear and you're
it is.
pinned. All
There
right,
it is.
cool.
There it is. Yeah, I got nothing else to say about, on my end. We can use some clean finishes with some good storytelling at the same time. Don't always need somebody sitting in the crowd. Don't always need somebody sitting at the commentary booth. And we don't always need somebody running out. Let's have a clean match with some good storytelling within the match.
Yeah. I mean, Judgment Day interference every time. That's the whole point of Judgment Day's existence. Um,
Yeah.
and at least they're innovative with it. I feel like they have so many stooges that it's, they find fun ways to do it. Uh, but yeah, where we've had, you mean 35 bloodline matches in a row with a ref bump, maybe adjust that a little bit. But yeah, it's
Hmm.
just, I felt like I hadn't seen, yeah, yesterday we didn't have a clean match for 2 hours. And then the day SmackDown, there was one out of like four, I
Hmm.
believe.
Hmm.
So, I mean, do better.
All right, that is a wrap on our What's Poppin' and three count. Before we go, we don't have a tinfoil theory today, but before we go, I want to pose a question to those who are watching and or listening. And we're coming up towards the end of the year. There's been a lot that has happened in the wrestling world. I mean, if you think all the way back from January when The Rock first appeared to MJF coming back. When did MJF came back during the summer, right? Or in the
Which
spring?
time? Yeah. Yeah, it was like double or nothing. So that
Double or
was
nothing.
yeah. It's springish? Yeah.
Springish. Yeah, just so much has happened. We've had WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Money in the Bank. I'm going to put this out there for right now because this is something we're going to talk about at the end of the year. We're going to start talking about the year's best, fill in the blank. Currently, what do you think is the best feud in wrestling of 2024? Whether that be in AEW and or WWE, and you could even do it by division. What has been the best female feud in wrestling and what has been the best male feud in wrestling? That's something we want to address later on this year as we start to wrap things up. And yeah, we want to know what you guys know. We want to know what
I
you guys think. Hmm.
I got one too. Year's best on-screen murder is another one.
It's a short list.
It's a short list. I think it's Bryan Danielson getting murdered as the number one pick, but
Oh man. Well, you guys can debate that one too if you could, think of anybody else. I doubt it though.
Ricochet was murdered on WWE
Oh,
and then
that's
came
right.
back. Yeah.
I think that would be a good one too.
Yeah.
What was the best transition, the best like rebound? I don't know what to call it, but I think that'd be good. Like someone who left a company and came back into the company.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, there's a lot of
the
good
best, yeah, what has been the best transition? Because we got like
comeback.
NX, yeah, the best comeback. So we got like NXT people, we got TNA people. Um, I would say it's not AJ Styles, unfortunately. But yeah, what has been the best comeback or transition for wrestling this year? So anyway, these are things we'll be addressing. Let us know what you guys think. What's the best feud of 2024 so far? What is the best murder and homicide that we have witnessed in wrestling? And and yeah, we will get back to you guys next week. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.
Peace.